Up in Austin, Texas, we have the man himself just coming off a contract extension, welcoming new guys in recruiting, maybe the best recruiters around. Coach Steve Sarkeesian is here. 14 Longhorns invited to the Combine, projected by Daniel Jeremiah, who I trust and believe in. 3 of those dudes projected to go in the first round. We got to talk Quinn. We got to talk Arch Manning. We have to talk some of these prospects, the wide receivers. I saw all of your questions on Twitter. Keep them coming and in the YouTube chat. FanDuel is here in Austin taking over, and so is Up and Adams. And I'll sit down with Longhorns legend and Chiefs defensive end Charles Omenihu about the Super Bowl heartbreak, where he is, how he's negotiating that with free agency, going somewhere else to take more, but maybe not getting to that big game. There's so much going on. And Kevin Durant is right there. Here in Austin, Texas, Coach Sark joining me in a moment. I've never met him. I know he has some NFL interest. 2 teams reportedly, probably more than that. He decides to stay here. I cannot meet a person in Austin, Texas, and bring up Coach Sark without them saying the word culture. Culture change, top to bottom, in such a short period of time. And Arch Manning, ... starter, question mark? I haven't seen that headline yet. We'll see and talk to Coach Sark in just a little bit. We are here at the Moody Center where the Spurs are taking on the Phoenix Suns. We'll be at the game. Run It Back was in town. Amy Howe's in town. The great Grant Howe is in the building as well. It's a lot of fun here. And yeah, I'm not joking. Matthew Hamilton, Kevin Durant is right down there. And I walked in, and as you can imagine, in a tizzy, late, trying to find coffee, I was waiting for the elevator on the concourse, and I just heard balls bouncing, and I was like, oh, I wonder who's over there. It's just him. Couple coach, just him, and he's out there. So what did I do? Was I cool and watch and leave? And no. Kevin! No. Fully. What's that woman from Schitt's Creek? What's the mom? Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, Moira?
I was her. Yeah, I know, but I was her in Home Alone as the bad parent going, Kevin! I did that.
What was his reaction?
I immediately regretted it. He kind of looked up and did not look happy at all. So I'm sorry. Well, he's in his bag, right? He's in the zone.
Yeah.
You don't get to 30K, saying hi to an idiot screaming at you from the concourse. Now that that's over with, Matthew, I wish you were here in Austin. You've been holding it down. Cannot wait to talk to Sark. Cannot wait to talk to Charles Omenihu, who is a man who is facing lots of decisions, he and his team. We'll get into all of that. But we're counting down the top 10 storylines to lock in this offseason. And coming in at number 5 now, because I skipped this yesterday in my insanity, can the Washington Commanders, they made a splash. Can they, create a wave pool of which I would not want to go in because it's so scary and splashy? Okay, that's the question. Last offseason was about Adam Peters, was about the foundation. This one is, how do we go all in on Jaden Daniels, who we finally met at the Super Bowl? The vibes were high. The team, the front office, ownership, culture, they handled him perfectly. He told me I have to earn everything that I have. $75 million in cap space, as you're seeing. Okay, to have the 3rd most cap space in the league after being 1 game away from the Super Bowl, that does not happen often. Charles Omenihu is impressed with Jaden Daniels. Hint, hint, Commanders fans, why don't you reel him on in there? What a big fish. Here, I'm looking at the top 10 free agents. Okay, Sam Darnold, don't need him. Ronnie Stanley, I think, should go to the Patriots. You guys have heard me bark about that. Khalil Mack, okay, interesting. Go get it. Go get some weapons here. Go load up. Chris Godwin, go get yourself a Deebo Samuel. Okay, go make the trade for Myles Garrett. Sign Khalil Mack. Defense, offense, load up. Load up, go all in, rookie contract. You know you can get there. And some of these DBs, I think, to get the pass defense where it needs to be, and even more than cap space, you are lucky enough to have a magnetic of a personality, or just a dog, a guy, and everyone in the league wants to play with him. Okay, I'm sitting there at Super Bowl. Everyone, you'll see with Charles Omenihu, everyone finds a way to bring up Jaden. Devontae Adams brings up Jaden. Everyone wants to play with him. We have Coach Sark coming on the show. Jaden Daniels is a recruiter. He might be better than Sark. I don't know if that's true, but he doesn't even have to talk, and these dudes want to play with a incoming sophomore, even a division rival like Micah Parsons had this to say about him during Super Bowl week. Look at this.
I have the utmost respect because that was a not even a playoff contending team. That wasn't even like a team that's really been built around him. Like, that was kind of just a lot of pieces thrown together. Let's see what happens. And he took that theme all the way to something I haven't even achieved in my career. So, like, doing that as a rookie is like, I have the utmost respect for him of what he's accomplished this year.
So if Dallas does not get Micah his extension, Micah, who has lots of reverence for Jerry Jones but knows it's a business, between Jaden and his connection with Dan Quinn, just watch out, okay? This was the theme of the week down in New Orleans. Myles Garrett talked about it with the lovely and talented and a friend of mine, Mina Kimes, as well. Jaden has the respect of his peers, like really no rookie I've ever seen before. And all of that factors into what I think and know will be a huge offseason. And just the vibes, Matthew Hamilton, from Adam Peters. We have like a now iconic photo of the three of us just chopping it up. I feel like I knew back then in Sweaty Betty, crazy heat out there before training camp. I feel like I knew then that here we're going to go.
Yeah, and I feel like you knew even before that. You were talking about this in May when they signed Ertz and Bobby Wagner and Eckler and all those guys. So
foundation.
It's going to be... Yeah, that foundation. It's going to be really exciting to see now how he elevates this thing to another level in year two. And, yes, we didn't get to this yesterday, but as part, you just wanted to save it for Kevin Durant so he can, overhear this while he's doing his morning shoot around and you talk about his Commandos. That's what this is really about.
I want you to know that moment will haunt me the rest of the, I don't even know. Definitely the rest of the day. Do I even go to the game tonight? I literally walk up.
Can't even show your face, though.
Kevin! And he went. All right, moving on. Let's not run that back. Run it back was before our show. By the way, the only solace I take in it, Matthew, is that Chandler Parsons, when I finally saw him, he said, "Oh, I was screaming his name too," and then I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Then I don't feel like such a jerk.
If Chandler
do I want to be doing
okay.
the things Chandler Parsons does? Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, if Chandler doesn't, it's probably not okay.
Run it back on before our show. Cannot wait to hang out with them as our whole FanDuel family will be here at the Moody Center watching the Spurs. A lot of San Antonio fans in Austin right now take on those Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant taking shots. All I want to do is ask him, what's it like to be here? Like, can you imagine coming back here and how much, obviously, basketball means to him? People are all of a sudden like, I don't know anything about basketball, but I know that he cares about it more than anything. People are like, man, he really likes basketball, a lot with that Netflix crying clip going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally talk to him for 3 seconds, and you know this. Like, what are we, new? Anyway, okay, let's talk about running backs. At number 4, the offseason storyline that I'm interested in is Saquon Barkley, the success he had. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, friend of the show. All of them are friends of the show. What they brought to their new teams and the impact they brought. Can we finally unionize? No, I'm kidding. Can we finally value and change the way running backs are valued? I'm just not going to talk here. Do I have to say anything? Jonathan Taylor almost broke Adrian Peterson's single-season rushing record. Okay? All of these teams went deep into the playoffs, James Cook included. This free agent class of running backs isn't what last year's was. You have some good ones, though. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb. And that might not be where we see the true barometer of how things are changing, but it might be the draft, because the draft, unlike the free agents, loaded with stud running backs. Ashton Genty, you know how I feel about him. We're starting to dig into the combine, of course. We're going to get a little precursor from Coach Sarkisian. He'll be here in a second. Does he go top 10, though, Genty? Genty to the Broncos? Just saying. Amari and Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Ohio State duo. We got Judkins and Henderson. We talked to Reggie Bush about both of them. Do they work their way into the first round? Yeah, they should. Why not? That gives us this answer. And if we see that in this draft in Green Bay, it'll show us where the value of running backs is going, evolving to, and really where it should be with the impact that we've seen them make. I think should we take a break or should we do Steelers? You think? Let's go with Steelers. Okay, guys, keep your questions coming for Coach Sark Don't ask me about Kevin Durant because I'm never speaking to him again because I'm embarrassed. And my last one for today at number 3, can the Steelers find their long-term solution at quarterback? This is an off-season storyline. We've been asking everybody from Chris Collinsworth, who joined our show, to Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney, who joined our show. There have been 5 different starting quarterbacks in Pittsburgh in the 3 years since Ben is retired. We just talked to Hall of Famer Chris Carter about this yesterday. There doesn't seem to be a lot of smoke around the Steelers bringing back Russ or Justin Fields right now, despite that playoff appearance. There are the veteran options, the OGs, Matthew Stafford, here he is, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Solak of ESPN being ageist about all of them. I'm not. I think either eeny, meeny, miny, Old Man River, okay? One of them makes them a contender. Any one of them makes them a contender the next year. But you're still talking about a temporary go-all-in solution. I don't hate that, but do we see Omar Khan grab one of these guys and then also fall in love with one of these quarterback prospects enough to move up from 21? I don't think that's crazy. Khan got really creative last year. He traded 4 Fields. He grabbed Russell. I feel like the Steelers are going to leave no stones unturned because they know that they have to solidify this if they want to start pushing for a 7th Lombardi, which is what Steelers fans are hungry for because they're used to it. This is a storied blue chip franchise. We got to get back there, a Tiffany franchise. I know it's not easy when you're always winning despite the quarterback issues and constantly picking in the 20s. It's hard to grab that stud, but they can't allow this quarterback storyline to go on much longer. I'm sick of it. I don't know what the answer is. Wild, but the quarterbacks are headlining as usual. We're going to take a short break. We're going to talk a little combine after this, meaning I'm going to get an education in the combine, and we of course have head football coach for the Texas Longhorns on at some point during our show. Here he is, everybody, at the Moody Center Live in Austin. It's Up and Adams with a newly extended Dior jacket wearing coach Steve Sarkeesian, entering your 5th year. Can you believe it's your 5th year?
I can't believe it. This is it's gone fast, but it's been super fun. Like it's been awesome.
Congratulations on your extension.
Thank you.
How does that feel to have that taken care of?
It always feels good. You know, I mean, obviously we feel like we've done some pretty good things here. We've got great support. I mean, from administration, the board of regents, Chris Delcani, athletic director, the entire athletic department. And so to recognize kind of what we're doing is great. But more important than me, I think extending all the assistant coaches, keeping our staff intact, the continuity we have has been huge.
How much of that newly received extension is going to go for maybe like some courtside Lakers season tickets with Luka now? What do you think?
Did you know I was a Laker fan?
I did. I do my research, Coach.
Okay, I didn't know. You know, born and raised in L.A.
Yeah.
I grew up in Showtime. Magic, Kareem, Big Game, James Worthy, Byron Scott. And then I got the Kobe Shaq era, and now we went with LeBron. And now to get Luka. Last night was rough. I watched it. I was up late watching it, but I'm excited about it.
So courtside seats, yeah?
I don't know. I mean, courtside at Lakers games, that's pretty tough. But,
I don't know. Yeah.
I might know a few people still over there.
Love that. When you saw the Luka trade go down, where were you? I must know. Since you're such
I was
a
actually in California at the time, and I was like, typical Lakers, right? This is what the Lakers do.
You believe? I thought it was fake for like 7 days.
I did at
wouldn't
first.
believe it.
Well, when I first got like the breaking, you know, on social media, I was like, this is like a joke, right? And then I was like, holy crap, this is real. And Luka is like a Laker, and we didn't give up LeBron. Like, this is great.
What was more surprising to you, seeing that come across your timeline, or that Bill Belichick is going to UNC?
Maybe Bill Belichick going to UNC.
Did you believe that when you saw it? Be honest.
Well, at first, you know, there was like some rumblings. I'm like, he's just kind of like, you know, kicking the tires to get an NFL team to come get him. And then he took the job, and then he brought Mike Lombardi with him. And I was with Mike Lombardi in Oakland in 2004. And so I was like, okay, they're really like assembling this thing to go for it. And I think it talks a little bit about college football, just kind of where we're at, you know, the fact that, you know, Chip Kelly, you know, goes to be an assistant coach with Ryan Day. Now he's in the NFL. Bill Belichick's now coaching college football. Matt Patricia is now a defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Just the idea and the thought behind, you know, where college football is at today is pretty exciting. You know, to think, you know, here's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, is coaching our game now because he sees the value in it. I think is pretty cool.
There's a lot of inner college, NFL. You know, I work in the NFL, of course, and I heard your name a lot this offseason. A lot of teams interested, a lot of organizations, a lot of ownership. Why was it important for you to stay here, and was it not like a non-brainer, have to be here decision?
I really think I have the best job in America, and I know that's easy to say because I'm sitting in the chair now. But I said this to my dad, like 30 years ago when he talked about, okay, you're going to play, and I tried to bounce around and play for a few years. And then I said, I'm going to get into coaching. And he asked me then, what's the best job? And I said, the University of Texas, you know, and I went through all these reasons. And for this thing to go full circle, and I'm here now, and to build the program from where we were 5-7 in year one. And it was like tough, 6-game losing streak, no draft picks, like really poor. And then year two, we get to 8-5. Bijan goes in the first round. Like we're starting to build a little momentum. Year three, you know, we make it to the college football semifinals. We break the school record for draft picks with 11 draft picks. Year four, we go to the semis again.
Let's go, Coach. I want to run through a wall.
And check it out. We have 14 players invited to the NFL Combine.
14. That is a Texas record, by the way,
again.
second most in the nation.
25 in the last 2 years. We've been to the semifinals 2 years in a row. So our work's not done, but I love the progress that we've got, and I get to live in Austin, Texas. So I got a pretty good gig right now.
I got to tell you, you're a very challenging interview to prepare for because there's so much to talk about. We had about an hour, one of our longest. I've been doing this show for 3 years, and it's like, do we do draft, Super Bowl, Xavier, Arch, Jalen, what should we talk about? The Combine, your success. Congrats on that success. I'll start here. I've been in Austin for 48 hours. I've been bragging that you're coming on the show, telling everybody, people at at Bangers while I was drinking my mimosa, that you're coming on the show, and it's just culture. First word.
Yeah.
Culture, culture, culture. You said that you wanted to have a culture of vulnerability.
Yeah.
That pinged my interest when I was doing my research. What does that mean, and why has that been so effective?
Well, I think, you got to remember, I deal with 18 to 22-year-old guys, okay? Probably the least vulnerable group that if you could pick out 18 to 22-year-old men, young men that are trying to figure out who they are, right? And they're in this transition of moving away from home, finding out who they are in a world of social media where it's like, put everything out there that to make myself look as good as I can look, but in the inside, who am I? And I felt like the only way to tap into them, to really, develop those relationships, was to be vulnerable with them. And so far, so good. I've forged some amazing relationships with the guys in our program. I think it's allowed them to forge really, really good relationships with one another. Because in the end, we want to win championships. I want to produce NFL players. I want these guys to go on and have success and graduate. But I want to become great men, right? And whether that's on the football field, whether that's in their home life, whether that's in the business world, whatever that looks like. But I have to show them how to do that too. And what does that look like? And so through it all, I really think our culture has won us some games. It's like 4th and 13 in overtime against Arizona State. Can you trust that guy next to you because you forged those relationships? And so I enjoy that process of it all. The X's and O's are easy. The weightlifting, the running is easy. I don't know if it's easy in Austin in the middle of summer, but cracking that code with these guys and to watch them grow from their freshman year where they're really guarded to a 4th-year senior who's been in the program, who's really kind of initiating the charge and being vulnerable right up front and being transparent to show a younger player what that looks like, that's when the real breakthrough starts to happen.
It's not a word I thought I would read, or it's not a word that I associate with recruiting or sports even. That's one of the top 5, but it really seems to have worked for you. You just landed the best recruiting class in the country, according to Rivals.com, which is unbelievable, with 4 5-star recruits. Should we talk about Arch Manning? How are we handling the anointing of one Arch Manning?
With Arch, I would say this. When he first got here, first of all, in the recruiting process, it was the most normal recruiting process. I've recruited a lot of quarterbacks in my time and had some great ones. And they can be difficult. They can be tough. But with Arch, it was so normal. Great family, great home life. When he got here, if you didn't know who he was, you would have thought here's just another freshman trying to earn his way. It wasn't about the name on the back of his jersey. It was, how can I help? What can I do? Can I be a great teammate? Nobody works harder. Not in the weight room, not on the field, not in the classroom, not studying. But what I love about him is his connection to his teammates. This guy gets along with everybody. Super competitive, got way more swag than his uncles. He's got the athleticism of his grandpa.
Athleticism too.
Yeah, he's got the athleticism of his grandpa.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that one of the things a quarterback has to do, and I think it goes kind of unnoticed at times. A quarterback's real job is to instill belief in his teammates, instill belief in the coaches, instill belief in an organization, and then instill belief in a fan base. And Arch does all those things. Like, hey, here he is, and it's not because of the name. Again, it's who he is on a regular basis.
There's weight that comes with that name. And he's like Heisman favorite. There's all these things going on. How do you manage the expectations? Because he is young. He loses his ID. I was reading all this. And the expectations that come with being a Manning at this school with all of this. How do you manage that?
I think the good thing for us is, one, he's a grounded young man. He's not a big social media guy. He's not a guy that sits on his phone and thumbs, Instagram and X and whatever we call that stuff now. He's really just about him, what do I need to do? How do I be a good teammate? What can I do extra to get myself better?
Yeah.
But in the end, I think leaning into my experience of coaching a lot of Heisman hopefuls and guys, a couple guys have won Heismans.
That's right, sir.
Yeah, had my fair share of top 10 draft picks. And so
Super Bowl champion.
I think leaning into that type of stuff for him is like, okay, we know I'm where I'm supposed to be. What am I supposed to do next? And it is what it is. When it's like, I tell these guys all the time when it's the quarterback, it's like, we chose this. You chose to play quarterback. I chose to be a head coach. We chose to be at the University of Texas. Granted, everything's bigger in Texas. The spotlight's on Austin. We've got a really good team, so on and so forth. So some of that stuff comes with the territory, but that's what we chose to do. Nobody forced us to do this. And so now let's embrace it and let's make this a great experience.
let's name him the starter. Are you ready to do that?
It'd be pretty tough for me to say he's probably not going to be our starting quarterback.
Yeah.
He started for us a couple games last year, played really good football. Our first game in the SEC against Mississippi State, he was our starting quarterback. Quinn had been nicked up. And so I think the exposure that he's had, I think he's ready for it. I think he's ready for the moment. We've got a pretty good team. We got a lot of work to do. We're in February, and we got a long way to go till the fall rolls around. But we're at a good spot to, I think, have a pretty good football team, and it's going to be even better knowing he's going to be the guy for us.
He has to earn it.
He's got to earn it, but I feel pretty good about it.
You feel good about it. Are you going to change anything offensively, scheme-wise? I know the X's and O's come easy to you, but this is a guy you can design some quarterback runs for.
He does. He gives us a little bit more versatility. Everybody's into the zone read world right now, and we always try to adapt to our players. And, the more I'm watching the NFL's evolving right now, too. You see what Jaden Daniels did. You saw what Jalen Hurts did, obviously winning the Super Bowl.
Hat tip to you?
Yeah, you see Lamar and what they're doing. You see what Josh Allen's doing. And so people are incorporating the quarterback more and more now, but still keeping some of the traditional NFL-style offense with it. And so we're forever evolving, but he does give us a lot of versatility to what we can do offensively.
Quinn Ewers in the draft, entering the draft, highly talked about. I work on the NFL. NFL fans are going to watch this. What do you want the NFL fans to know about Quinn Ewers?
I think what this guy has shown is this level of perseverance, right? And that's a hard thing to gauge in the NFL because so many of these guys have it so easy throughout their time, whether it's in high school or in college. But this guy's had to persevere. He's been through a lot. He's been through some injuries. And every time he shows up, and he has always played his best when his best was needed. And so we're fortunate and excited that we had him, but also for his future and what it looks like.
How many invites to the Combine? You said 14?
14.
That is unbelievable. I think we even have a list of them, right? Let's take a look at some of those. Here are the invites. First, I want to ask you, 14 invites. That's a record for Texas, but how many of these guys are going to beat your 4.97 40-yard dash time at the 1997 Scouting Combine? Do you know that I was like, producers, we need tape of this. And they said there was no tape of it.
I know.
They didn't even record the Combine back then, Sark. Do we have any pictures? Did we find any pictures? Well, we didn't.
Anything?
Oh, I don't know.
Look at that list, though. Let's get off me. Look at the list. Look at the list.
Like a champion coach. What do you make of this? Who do you think pops at the Combine next week that I need to know?
Well, what I like about the list is, the versatility, right? You quarterback, running back, 2 receivers, tight end, O-lineman, D-lineman, edge, DBs. And so
loaded.
I'm excited for all these guys. I mean that. I'm excited to see what a couple guys run in the 40, Jaden Blue, Isaiah Bond. I'm excited to see the versatility of Jahdae Barron and what he's able to do there. So excited for all of them, quite frankly.
Of course you are. I can't pick between your favorite kids, of course. Who do you think trends during the Combine at Indy? Pops off the screen, has a moment at the Combine.
Well, I think the speed always jumps out for everybody. And I know Jaden Blue and Isaiah Bond are going to run great times. They're going to really roll. I think Matt Golden's going to surprise people with his versatility at receiver. I think Kelvin Banks and just how fluid he moves at the offensive line position. Like I said, I think Jahdae's versatility in the secondary. I think Andrew Makuba is going to surprise a lot of people.
Okay, why is that?
Just because he's such a heady player. I think he's going to interview great. But again, I think another guy, Alfred Collins, when they see how big he is and how well he moves, is another guy. So all these other guys I'm not talking about, I'm going to get a text as soon as we're done and be like, Coach, you didn't bring me up.
Just so you know, in the meeting, I said he's not going to want to single anybody out. It's not what he's going to want to do. But I just, on that whiteboard, they just wrote, who will challenge Xavier Worthy's 40 record?
I think Isaiah and Jaden think they have a shot. That's a pretty good time. Obviously, greatest of all time. So that's a tough one.
Speaking of Isaiah, I went on Twitter and I said, what are your questions for Sark? And most often, about a ton of questions, what will you be telling NFL scouts who are evaluating Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden?
Well, I think different players, right? Matthew has really strong hands, really, really versatile player, great one-on-one contested catch guy, great in the red area. Isaiah is a big play threat, right? He's a guy who can take the top off the defense. You can get the ball in his hands in short quarters, and he can create explosive plays. It was unfortunate he had the ankle injury this year that kind of held him back the second half of the season because he really got off to a great start. But I think both those guys are going to find a home in the NFL where they're going to be an asset to their team.
Where did you watch the Super Bowl, Coach?
I was with a couple buddies. Yeah.
I don't even know that we have time to go through every player that passed through the Sark school of something that played in the Super Bowl. Who did you had? Jalen?
Had Devontae Smith, had Moro Ojimo on Philly.
Crush.
Obviously had Xavier on Kansas City.
First touchdown by a Texas player ever.
It was pretty cool to think the two receivers in that game, both leading receivers, guys that had played for us in our system. And so kind of a little feather in our cap. Helps in recruiting. Helps in recruiting.
It was kind of anticlimactic, the touchdown for Worthy, but when that happened, what was going through your head?
I think it's a sign of where our program's headed and kind of the guys that we're producing and what it looks like. And so hopefully we can keep getting guys into the NFL with opportunities to play for Super Bowls, because that's the ultimate, right, from a player's perspective, if you can be a Super Bowl champion. So for Moro Ojimo, for a guy who I think was a 5th or 6th round draft pick, to have an impact in that game, he had a really good game, and to get a Super Bowl ring for him, I'm super excited.
Which Manning do you hear from the most outside of Arch?
Cooper,
like he has a direct line to you. He's
of
texting
course,
you.
He's a father.
How often?
Yeah.
Are you
very,
hearing
very
from
rare.
Cooper?
We've got a great relationship, and he, I know you know the Manning family well, and they've all got a great sense of humor.
They're amazing.
But I think Coops is probably the best. He's very quick-witted, and Arch has got a lot of that with him, and I think that's why our rapport is so good.
I know I just went out of order, but I do want to remember, if you could just, recruiting is so big. You're doing that. You're going to have to recruit offensive linemen to protect Arch. All this is going on. You're crushing it. I think applications are up at Texas 24%. That is an insane clip. A lot to do with the success you've had in taking this team to the playoffs for back-to-back years. Xavier Worthy recruiting him. What do you remember?
It was a long process. I'd started recruiting him in the 10th grade, and I was at another school.
Insane.
Yeah, I was at another school. I was at Alabama, and we went through COVID.
Yeah.
And that COVID recruiting was so difficult for all parties because they couldn't take visits, they couldn't come on your campus. Ultimately, he chose to go to another school, and when things fell through there, we happened to now come here at Texas, and so it was an easy transition to say, hey, now you can't say we don't have all these other guys. You're going to have an opportunity here. But it was a great process. We're lucky he trusted us with what we could do. If he played in the system and had a great freshman year and a great career and obviously a really good rookie season in the NFL.
Amazing. You've got the #1 recruiting class in the country, which is absolutely amazing. We talked about Xavier Worthy. I mean, what else? Jalen Hurts, should we give him a little love? What was that like?
That was a unique process. His freshman year at Alabama, I was an analyst. I wasn't even a full-time coach at the time. And then, Coach Kiffin gets the Florida Atlantic job, and Coach Saban names me offensive coordinator. So I called a national championship game his true freshman year against Clemson. And it was a heck of a journey, So we go way back. Like, there was really cool storylines for me watching that game. But what Jalen's been able to do in the NFL and watch his game grow and him evolve as a leader and as a playmaker, not only with his legs, but he used his arm huge in that game. But his legs showed up. Those scrambles were huge for, I think, over 70 yards rushing. So highly competitive guy. His dad's still coaching high school football in Houston. So it's pretty neat to see those guys evolve throughout their career.
Who are you rooting for, the Chiefs or the Eagles? It must have been hard for you.
I really wasn't rooting. I haven't met Coach Sirianni. I do have a very good relationship with Andy Reid. And so to see the success they've had has been great. But I knew a couple coaches on Philly, but I also know for Coach Sirianni, having been to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, going through what they went through last year, knowing what the Philly fan base is like, which is probably a lot like ours. You're either winning and you're great, or you're losing and you need to get the heck out of town. So for him to do that, I think that's a cool sign to see from a coach's perspective. Like, it's not always great, but if you can persevere and get your team back. And so, and a ton of respect for him. And I have a really good relationship with Howie Roseman. And so, yeah, he's incredible. What a roster that he's put together. So I was happy for those guys that they won it.
What's your recruiting style? How would you describe that?
I think relationship based, we definitely have an NFL model when it comes to evaluating talent. And I think that comes from my time in the NFL with Atlanta and Coach Quinn. It comes from my time with Nick Saban, Pete Carroll. So definitely an NFL approach to it. But at the end of the day, it's different. We're not picking the players. They're picking us. And so you've got to develop those relationships and then show how we develop you. Every player wants to be developed. They want to be developed as a player. They want to be developed as a student. They want to be developed as a man. And now we have living examples of that as we've gone forward. And so I think parents appreciate that, but most notably, I think the players do too.
I know that this is going to be a surprise to you. I have no athletic ability. I will never be on a men's football team that's about to win a championship. But I do need to be recruited to be a Longhorns fan. I don't have a college team.
You have no college team?
I mean, I went to Mizzou. I abandoned them long ago. So I'm looking for a team. Would you like to
come on? We need you. We need you.
Texas?
You got to come to a game this fall.
I've never been to a game ever.
You're missing out.
Okay, that's
so
not.
This is it. We got to do the show.
That was a very good recruiting, coach.
Well,
Recruit me.
This is too easy. You have no team.
Why should I be a Texas Longhorns fan?
First of all, you get to come to Austin.
Fair.
Okay. Second, we've got a really good football team. We're exciting. We got a great brand of football. DKR.
No starter named, but we're rocking with it anyway.
we got Arch Manning, and then that gives you something.
Are you declaring him a starter?
Sure. We'll give you that, Kay.
Arch Manning is the starter of the 2025 Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em.
We'll give you that.
You gave me that. You're
so
amazing.
Now you have to come. There was your recruiting pitch.
Coach, last one for you. My birthday is in April. Should I be making plans to come back since I'm a fan now, to the spring game? Is that
a spring practice? You want to come to spring practice?
Are we not having a spring game?
No, we're not going to have a spring game.
Wow, breaking news. You're the best coach, Sark. And we're just
Well, I think a couple of reasons why. Over the last 2 years, we've played 30 games.
Yeah,
and that's a lot for college football. Yes. 14 2 years ago, 16 this year. And I just mentioned we've had 25 guys get invited to the NFL Combine the last 2 years. So we've got a lot of young players on our roster. We have 21 mid-year high school kids that just showed up. And so the development that's needed for these guys to get ready for the fall is a little bit different than it used to be. And so our approach is going to be a little bit more NFL-driven, kind of more of an OTA style early on. And as we grow into more of the scrimmage formats in the second half of spring ball, that I just don't know rolling the ball out, playing the game when we only get 15 practices is the best for us to maximize the opportunities that we get. So it's going to be a little bit of a different approach, but I think college football is changing right now. Yeah. And we need to do a great job as coaches of adapting to college football. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think it's going to be good for our team.
I think fans will understand because it will be good for the team as the college game continues to evolve. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on everything. And the only thing more impressive than what I see on the field is how you handle these guys as young men. It's very cool.
Well, I appreciate
very
that.
Inspiring.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this. Thanks, guys. Taking a look at the Combine, it kicks off in Indy next week, so I wanted to take a second to set the stage for a little bit. Yeah. Hamilton, get on screen, please. Give me that, Matthew Hamilton. Combine schmombine. We'll talk about that in a second. Hello. Hi. How are you?
Hey.
First of all, I wish you were here to see Richard Issacow scoop in and move my coffee in some like triple sow cow, Tara Lipinski vibe while Sark's sitting here dropping gems to me at the end.
That was special. That was really cool. Gem after gem.
I want to be the offensive lineman when Banks leaves. Banks is gone. Like, I'll come protect Arch. I'll do. Like, he's a absolute stud. What a cool customer.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not want to play for him after seeing that? I mean, I don't like you disowning Mizzou completely, but that was pretty special.
Here's what did Mizzou ever do for me? Would be my question. No kidding. Love Mizzou, but I was just really into. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about, but it's really the culture to go from like losing season, better season, back to back. Wasn't it? What did we look up earlier that no team has gone to the playoffs? The first college team ever. Is that true?
Or they're the only college team that has gone each of the last 2 years to the college football playoff. Yeah.
Yeah, and he eventually named Arch the starter, but I appreciate what he's trying to do in making him earn it. But he doesn't seem like a kid who needs to be grounded. I think he's definitely where his feet are. I think we have a couple of minutes in the show. Let's get through like maybe 2 of these. So we're talking about the Combine. It's next week. I just got a beautiful, like, firsthand 3 first-rounders potentially out of Texas. Yeah. But Travis Hunter's really interesting to me. We got word this weekend that he was listed as a DB for the Combine, but I'm hoping we get to see him. Do you think he does receiver drills? I hope so. Sam Munson, friend of the show, brought up kind of a good/scary point yesterday that Travis was so good playing both ways that you got to imagine how much better he can be when he locks in on one position, right? And by the way, he is supposedly targeting a 40 time in the mid-4.2s. We love speed. Coach Sark said it. It's always what goes viral and pops. 4.3s, 4.2s. That would be insane. So he's really kind of got a chance to put on a big show in Indy. Athletic, versatile, appointment viewing, popcorn. Let's do this thing. And the most anticipated, by the way, Combine workout, maybe, I'm going to be hyperbolic, ever. Hammy, who are you keeping your eye on?
Yeah, it might be. And I'm keeping my eye on this quarterback class. You know, I love the quarterbacks. It's going to be such a different vibe from last year where we had 2 Heisman winners and one of the deepest groups at the position we've ever seen. That doesn't mean that we're not going to see stars emerge. Of course, it's going to be Shedeur and Cam that everybody's going to have their eyes on. We don't know if they're going to throw yet, but, you know, we've seen in recent years guys kind of opt to just throw at their pro days. I think, like, whoever does throw at this Combine is going to give themselves a huge advantage. And Dylan Gabriel, who you talked to, who was awesome, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, the rest of this field, we could see some guys really emerge. Remember, Patrick Mahomes wasn't even in the top 50 prospects before the Combine in 2017. Yeah. I think we could see some guys really stand out and make a name for themselves here.
I don't really care about anybody that's not a Texas Longhorn now. So.
That's what I'm sorry. Yeah.
We'll be back after this. Charles Omenihu, Texas Longhorn, after this. I'm here in Austin with Charles Omenihu, the perfect person to get me right for this city. I haven't been here in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Why do you choose to live here when you know you can live anywhere coast to coast?
Couple reasons. One, my agent lives here.
Yeah.
My financial advisor lives here. My trainer that I've had since really college, Jeremy Hill, he has 2 gyms out here, Collective.
Okay.
So
shout out Collective.
Shout out Collective.
I'm gonna go do a workout later today. Sounds good.
Yeah. But then other than that, I like the scenery here. Food place, like I told you, guest house.
What's
gotta go.
Guest house?
Guest house.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going now.
Guest house.
Can I call and say I know Charles Omenihu?
Yeah, and
Really?
they'll let you smooth in, no waiting.
We're at a hotel right now. I saw you in the lobby. I mean, you're just ginormous.
Yeah.
And everyone just looks at you like, who is that? What is that? What's going on?
Yeah.
Do you get that here in Austin, or do people leave you alone?
I do get that a lot. The valet guy was like, "Hey, I knew that was you." I was like, "Yeah, like just make sure you take care of my car, buddy." But yeah, but people in Austin are like just super friendly.
Yeah.
It's not like a chaotic thing. It's more so like they love you, they appreciate you, and they show that.
What am I ordering at Guest House?
You have to get the spicy rigatoni. For sure.
Done. In.
You gotta get the wagyu pastrami.
Okay.
You gotta get that, and then it's gonna be childish, but the chicken tenders are really, really good.
Look, you
chicken
can make
tenders
all
are
of
good.
my food choices for me forever.
Nah, yo, this super good. Super good.
How many questions do I have to ask you before we talk about the Super Bowl?
I'm pretty sure you're ready to talk about it. So,
I'm ready, but you're smiling. I feel like you've handled it quite well. You're in a particularly unique, interesting position because you are a free agent.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just want to start with you're walking off the field, and I'm watching you and all the things that are happening in this game. And it's not the color of confetti you want.
No.
And you're also, I would like to know just what's going through your head as you're leaving the field.
A little bit just blank. Like, is this really happening? But, you know, the game wasn't going our way for a little bit of time, so you're able to, like, kind of, like, low-key process that, you know, this is not going to be your night, and history won't be made, and some people are going to be really happy about that. But, I mean, it's tough. I hate seeing the Eagles win. Because we wanted that. We wanted that really bad. We wanted that bad for the city of Kansas City. I personally wanted it just for the organization. Mm-hmm. But it was tough. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but you got to understand that, like, it wasn't your night. And it just so happened that overall the team's worst game was in the last game of the year.
Were they just better than you on that day, or do you think they were just better all season? Like, there's this thought that, like, these things that were bugging the Chiefs in these close games finally came to bite them.
I mean, they came out with a little bit more than what we did. You know, it's not the NBA Finals type of thing where you have multiple games to try and correct. It's like, as soon as you put the shoulder pads on and lace it up, like, you have to be at your best. And unfortunately, we just weren't.
How do you process that loss? You're saying you processed it even in game because it was out of hand for a bit, but are you in some sort of like a 5 stages of grief process? Are you over it? Do you feel like?
I mean, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like,
How do you do? Can I just ask you how you do that? Because when I talked to you last week, I was like, man, I feel like you're in a great place.
Yeah, I watched the film. I watched it 3 times.
Okay.
We had our exit meetings, talked to the coaches, and I mean, you can't go back in time. You can't dwell. Coach Reed said it perfectly. Like, you can't hang your head on this. Like, you gotta regroup. I said it, like, you gotta retool and refuel, and you can't refuel and retool by still thinking about the past.
What's a bigger priority to you than playing in those big moments that you thrive in?
I'll first say that playing in big games is my number 1 priority.
Okay.
But obviously, when you're in a position to take care of your family, your kids to come, and generations to come, you can't overlook that. So it'll be like a hand-in-hand type of deal. And that's why I have Sean, my financial advisor, to help me with that. And then David to tell me what teams are being presented. And I know majority of all 32 team situations. I know who's going to be there and who's not, or who is climbing. And there could also be a team like the Commanders that come out of nowhere and draft the right quarterback, and then they go to the NFC Championship game. And now they're just a couple pieces away from being able to continuously do that. Now they're going to have to go against the Eagles and all that stuff. But, you know, you never know in the league. The league is about parity, so they try and make to where they have more of those type of Commanders teams that come through. So you just evaluate and see what's best for you.
Well said. Charles, you had a 3-word tweet a couple of days ago
Yes.
that lit the internet on fire. You said, know your worth
Yes.
on the beginning of free agency. What do you want to clarify what you meant by that?
Yeah, I think it's an overall life thing that people can take. When you work hard at anything, and you can work hard and not be good, right? But when you work hard and you've shown your worth, you know what your worth is, you know what you bring to the table, you gotta come in the room and understand that. And that's in any facet of life.
Okay.
I know people, when I tweeted it, they thought that.
Well, you sent another tweet, right? Second tweet was, please don't read into what I say on this app during this time period. Don't need y'all making assumptions.
Yeah, because I just don't want people to think, oh, there's anything negative that's going on in my world. There's nothing negative at all.
I can tell. There is nothing negative.
Like,
this man is a happy man.
I love Veach. I love Coach Reed. I love the Chiefs. Spags, Joe, all of them. I talked to Chris like a couple of days ago. So there's it's just like I just think of stuff and hey, this might pertain to people. And some people might not know their worth. Some people might let certain things slide, and you shouldn't. Especially if you work hard and you're good at what you do. You should definitely know your worth. You should definitely appreciate yourself. And when it's time for somebody else to show appreciation to you, you would hope that they would.
What are you bringing to whatever team you end up on, or if you stay? What are you bringing in this next year?
I think I'm bringing a man that's going to have a full season again. It's been 2 years since I've had a full season. I always kind of tell myself, what's going to be your next motivator?
Okay.
My next motivator is to show people what 18-game season looks like for me. When I had the 11 games and I had the crazy streak, that was to me, that was like a taste. I was like a tip on the iceberg, okay, this is you. And didn't have the unfortunate thing, whatever came back and helped to the team. And that Texans game was me. The Buffalo game was me. Philly game, I feel like I played decent. But to be able to give a team a full season, full strength, full offseason, you're going to get a guy that you're not going to be able to run my way. Tight end's not going to block me. I'm not going to get reach blocked. It's just not going to happen. I could go line me up against anybody, to be honest. It won't happen. And then you'll get a guy that's versatile, can rush anywhere, understands protections, can help a D-line room, kind of everything ain't got to be one-on-ones. You can run games. I've been in 3 systems where I understand how to manipulate protection. You'll get a guy that I don't do too much of the rah-rah. I try and lead by example. I try and just guide guys if they want to. So you'll get a guy that's going to be good in the locker room, help the young guys out, and just want to sack the quarterback. I just want to sack the quarterback. I just want to sack him.
Who's somebody that you haven't had a strip sack on?
I haven't had a strip sack on?
That you just cannot wait to demoralize in
that's
your own
currently
words.
in the league.
Yeah.
I won't lie. Probably Jaden Daniels. Either Jaden Daniels or...
It's all coming back to the Commanders in this thing. Interesting.
Or Bo Nix.
They got a lot of money, those Commanders. You've seen that? You've seen their salary? Have you seen their salary cap? You could probably add, I don't know, to the stack over here. You could add probably just a couple more. The real question is not what you bring to a team. It's almost what's the best situation for you. That's how the market's going to work for you. And sifting through it.
Yeah.
Order of importance, being on a team that plays meaningful big games.
Winning.
Winning and taking care of your family. I think you're going to get both.
I hope so. That's been my prayer since the season's been over. But,
and sorry, Jaden, to you for that.
No, I mean, he's a really good player. Oh, my goodness. And Jalen Hurts, I ain't going to lie. Just because he doesn't get, he holds onto the ball a little bit, doesn't get sacked too often. But the strip sack, either one of them.
Is that more on him or the O-line? Who are we giving credit to there?
Their O-line is really good.
Yeah.
Their O-line is really good.
Best you faced this year?
Yeah, them and the Bills.
The Bills O-line.
Them and the Bills. Very good O-line. The Bills handle games great. They just jump on the pen trainers and twisters, and you ain't doing all that. You're going to win one-on-one, you're not going to win. The Eagles are just big guys, work well together. And
why do you want Jalen so bad?
Because he won the Super Bowl.
Is that, yeah?
And he was Super
Did you
Bowl
watch
MVP.
the parade?
No, I didn't watch that parade.
You couldn't have not seen parade footage. Again, you have 2 phones, Charles. There's no world where that didn't hit your algorithm.
I ain't gonna lie, I was out the country when they had that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This man does things the right way. Let me say. Charles Omenihu, good luck. I can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you.